Hey folks, so in this video you're going to see me react to some of the supposedly great Ben Shapiro moments, the Ben Shapiro destroys moments. So it begins. You can see people saying that I'm being disrespectful to pronouns, which is bizarre because pronouns, aside from facts not having feelings, actually pronouns don't have feelings either, as it turns out. But it does demonstrate the level of debate that's being had on some of these college campuses. I'm not sure what shouting safety has to do with anything. Last time someone shouted safety at me, we were in 7th grade and someone had farted, but...
Being brave is being yourself, and being transgender is about the bravest thing you can do. Did she deserve the award?
65?
Yes.
Why are we mainstreaming delusion?
It's not delusion.
Why would you call it delusion?
Because...
Ben Shapiro, known for his sharp debates and fiery takedowns, recently took a trip down memory lane to revisit some of his most iconic viral moments. From college campus showdowns to heated TV debates, these moments highlight Shapiro's signature mix of logic and wit. Today, we explore these milestones from his career, offering insight into his perspective on the debates that sparked intense conversations across the globe.
Students outside who had decided to essentially riot. I mean, they were outside, they were threatening people, they were pushing people around in the crowd. We were told by the police they couldn't guarantee our safety if we left the room. I had to be escorted in by a set of police officers. I had to be escorted out back door by a set of police officers. It was quite amazing.
Let's start with one of Ben Shapiro's most controversial moments, the infamous Zoey Tur debate. This debate not only highlighted the cultural clash surrounding gender identity, but also demonstrated the intensity of emotions in such discussions. Shapiro was invited to discuss gender dysphoria on a live TV program, knowing the conversation would be lively, but not anticipating how chaotic it would become.
It's not delusion.
Why would you call it delusion?
Because Caitlyn Jenner, I'll call him Caitlyn Jenner.
No,
because
it's her. You're not being polite to the pronouns.
Because
disrespectful.
Okay, forget about the disrespect. Facts don't care about your feelings. It turns out that every chromosome, every cell in Caitlyn Jenner's body is male with the exception of some of his sperm cells. It turns out that his brain structure is male. It turns out that he still has all of his male appendages. How he feels on the inside is irrelevant to the question of his biological sex.
I don't agree with that. I'm not on that train. I'm not on that train. She wants to be called she. I'm going to call her she.
Backstage, the producers hinted at their Jerry Springer-style approach, and Shapiro quickly realized the debate was set to veer off course. Sitting next to Zoey Tur, the discussion spiraled into heated territory when Shapiro questioned the scientific validity of gender identity claims.
So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you like to discuss the genetics? Or
Well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics?
So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
Tur's response escalated to a physical threat, with memorable phrases like, "You'll go home in an ambulance." Reflecting on this moment, Shapiro emphasized his focus on rationality amid a debate steeped in emotional outbursts.
There's a lot to this particular backstory. So, first of all, I was invited on the program, and backstage, the producer says, I used to produce Jerry Springer. This should have been my first hint that things were going to get wild. And I said, you know my perspective on this. And the person said, right, that's why we're having you on. We want it to be like a lively debate. We want you to just express your opinions and everything. All right, fine. So then the way they seat this, obviously, is they seat Zoey Tur right next to me. And pretty quickly, this thing goes off the rails. Because the moment that anybody suggests that perhaps a genetic male is actually a genetic male, and that a genetic male who believes he is a female is just a delusional male, that apparently is unsayable.
While the Zoey Tur debate illustrated the high-stakes nature of live television, next up is Shapiro's Chalkboard incident that showed his ability to use humor and wit to handle adversity on a different stage, college campuses. During protests that paused the event for 15 minutes, Shapiro added some humor by writing "morons" on a chalkboard behind him, creating a moment that quickly went viral. Protesters claimed to feel unsafe. Shapiro, however, pointed out the irony of these accusations in a room surrounded by police officers and peaceful attendees. This incident revealed the growing tension between free speech advocates and those attempting to silence opposing viewpoints, cementing Shapiro's reputation as an unyielding defender of open dialogue.
Yo, your baby needs to
This is pretty famous because obviously I'm flipping off the protesters. I wasn't just flipping them off randomly. What happened is that the person who I was flipping off started flipping off the entire crowd as well as me. And so that is a defensive flip off. Han did not fire first in this particular case. So they were flipping me off and I flipped them back off. The whole thing was ridiculous.
At California State University, Los Angeles, Shapiro faced one of his most chaotic speaking engagements. Protesters pulled the fire alarm during his speech, hoping to shut it down. Police had to escort Shapiro and attendees in and out of the venue, underlining the lengths some will go to silence dissent.
This is how it's written. And there it is, gang. Guess what? You know what? They're not going to stop us.
The event revolved around diversity of thought, with Shapiro arguing that intellectual diversity holds more societal value than racial diversity. While the premise seemed straightforward, it was met with fierce opposition.
All right. Melina Abdullah's fan, Ruben Martin, wrote, "You want I should hoid 'em, boss. I got a few's ideas me and the fella's been kicking round. Only ting is he won't be talking or looking so nice no more. We'll take the cannolis." The reason I'm reading it in this way is because this is exactly how it's written. Folks, if you're just joining the live stream, somebody pulled the fire alarm to stop this because this is how the fascists do it. So this one was actually the wildest college experience. And this was one of the first ones that sort of led off the entire college tour. The students outside who had decided to essentially riot. I mean, they were outside, they were threatening people, they were pushing people around in the crowd. We were told by the police they couldn't guarantee our safety if we left the room. I had to be escorted in by a set of police officers. I had to be escorted out back door by a set of police officers. It was quite amazing.
Reflecting on this, Shapiro noted the absurdity of equating his presence to a safety threat, while police ensured order throughout the event.
All of that was because there were professors at the university who were seriously suggesting that I was a white supremacist, like a KKK member, which is pretty incredible. The students had to be smuggled in 2 at a time. The whole thing was just a complete bleep show from beginning to end on the part of the university. It ended with a lawsuit, actually.
While Shapiro's campus engagements often center on free speech, his appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher shifted gears entirely. In this televised debate, the focus turned to Trump and the Russia investigation. The conversation, sparked during the height of the Mueller investigation, shifted to speculative accusations about Trump's alleged collusion.
Do you actually think that Donald Trump colluded with Vladimir Putin?
Yes.
Do you?
You don't? How can you not? How can you not?
Okay, so I do not, because I watched that campaign. I don't think that Donald Trump could collude with his own left foot.
Well, I don't think he did it, but his son did it. The people who Mueller is
And when
indicting.
the evidence comes out, I'm happy to go for the indictments. I'm fine with the indictments.
Great.
Okay, criminal activity is criminal activity.
But you,
I don't know how I turned into the Trump defender here, but is he a doofus or is he an evil genius? You got to pick one.
Okay. Actually, you don't. You don't have to pick one.
Shapiro's key takeaway was the media's tendency to oversell narratives, creating public perceptions unsupported by evidence. This moment highlighted the broader issue of misinformation in political discourse, with Shapiro maintaining his stance on separating fact from sensationalism. Bill
Maher will say shockingly true things from time to time. I mean, he's definitely down the line lefty on a lot of policy, but not when it comes to things like free speech and the willingness to talk with the other side. Like that's stuff that Bill Maher is correct about. He is less politically correct than a lot of his colleagues. What was weird about this particular episode of Bill Maher is a few things. One, the timing was weird. So I can only do Bill Maher like once a year because they do it live on Friday nights, and that means that I can only do it when Friday night, like Shabbat, comes in very late. So we can basically do it one time a year. My assumption was, and all the pre-interviews were about free speech, college campuses, ability to talk to one another, and all of the rest. About 5 minutes before the show happens, his producer comes in and says, Bill really wants to talk about Trump and Russia. And I was like, really? Wait, why?
One of Shapiro's earliest viral moments came during his tour of the University of Missouri. when faced with a hostile crowd outside the venue, Shapiro was advised by police to remain inside for safety. Despite the chaos, Shapiro delivered his message on intellectual honesty, underscoring the importance of addressing tough topics without fear of backlash.
That's not true. It's not
The event demonstrated the extreme tactics activists sometimes use to silence opposing views, including physical intimidation and pulling fire alarms. Shapiro's ability to navigate such tense situations cemented his status as a formidable public speaker.
Taser! 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 Hey, calm down, calm down. Calm down. Hey, get out of here. Hey, get out of here. Yo.
From heated debates on university grounds to the broader cultural discourse, Shapiro has consistently stood by his principles. One such principle is his firm stance on pronoun usage in public debates. He often differentiates between private conversations and public discussions, where he might agree to others' preferences, but always prioritizes factual accuracy.
So, assuming that it would help to accept them more into society, would you change your position on transgenderism?
So the position on transgenderism I want to clarify so that I can tell you what I would change and what I wouldn't change. So what I would not change is the idea that you cannot force people to call you what you want to be called. That is anathema to a free society. I will also not change the idea that we should not indoctrinate children in blatant biological falsehoods like there's no such thing as male and female.
This approach has made him a lightning rod for criticism, but Shapiro remains steadfast in his commitment to intellectual consistency. Revisiting these debates, he emphasizes the importance of holding firm to principles, even in the face of widespread backlash.
Using children about this stuff carries its own inherent dangers. Kids are easily confused and easily screwed up. So I think that would not change.
Looking back, these viral moments highlight more than just controversy. They underscore recurring themes in Shapiro's career: free speech, identity politics, and media accountability. Together, these principles form the foundation of his public persona. By revisiting these debates, Shapiro provides insight into his strategy for navigating public discourse while staying true to his values.
The first one where people really started to take note of, oh, this guy is actually fairly good at debating. There were a couple things that I had planned. So I had planned right from the outset that I was going to tell him exactly why I thought he was a bully.
Whether facing physical threats, hostile crowds, or biased media narratives, Shapiro's approach underscores the importance of rational debate in a world increasingly driven by emotion and sensationalism.
A lot of the political debate you see on TV is TV, and some of it is real, but if you can see each other as human beings, the likelihood is that more of our conversations would look more like my Sunday special and fewer of them would look like the sort of pyrotechnics you saw in this particular episode.
What are your thoughts on Ben Shapiro's most viral takedowns? Do you think they spark meaningful conversations about fact, opinion, and cultural change? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep having honest conversations like this one.